If Burrows here, long time no see. Apparently, Tim Pool has been shot at, and we'll find out more details. I'm not going to assume anything as this goes on, but I did pull up the podcast prior to the shooting, which included Milo Yiannopoulos and Tim Pool debating about the legitimacy of Candace Owens' claims. I would have to study more about Candace Owens' videos, what her claims are, and her tweets, because I really don't know the situation. The thing is that I did notice is that Candace Owens did ever decline a debate with Turning Point USA, and it does make her look really bad. Of course, I can't go and compare a negative until I hear a positive or vice versa. I have not been watching Candace, but I can tell you that if I hear something like what I'm hearing with this Tim Pool and Milo Yiannopoulos debate, this is just ridiculous. And Milo, I think, has kind of lost his way as well. And we'll go into this as well. I do know that Candace, like I said, turned down this debate with Turning Point USA, which shows me that she's afraid either to confront Turning Point USA or she can't prove her point, whatever it is. It's interesting because watching this debate, and this is the only reason why I bring this up, is the thing is most people don't talk about Israel, but until this Hamas attack happened, nobody talked about Israel. Now Israel was apparently the bad guy. Oh, you took money from Israel. But all these parties, whether they're the Democrats or Republicans, are taking money from corporations and Muslims as well, but nobody says anything about that. But how dare they take money from Israel, who has been America's biggest ally? And people say, well, the reason is because America has backed them up along with England. But yes, but when you look at the alternative out there in the Middle East, it is slim pickings. You have a few countries like Jordan and countries like that who are legitimately good allies. Saudi Arabia, I don't know why people get so on this thing about them. I mean, they have shown, because they love our money so much, they have shown not to be really, enemies. But at the same time, I don't know how we ended up into Iran, but apparently because there's so much money from the Iran community in Iran, because they're not doing anything to stop this community of people that are sending money to destroy Israel. And these organizations have one thing in mind, these radical Muslim organizations, and that is the destruction of Israel. A lot of this goes to jealousy as well. I don't know what it is, why people get so jealous of one country or jealous of a different type of people, whatever have you. But I don't see Israelis out there strapping bombs to their chests and doing suicide bombings to try to prove a point. I don't see them out there condemning us or hating our way of life. In fact, they have kind of helped us determine our way of life. And it's like, whenever I get so mad, it's like people are like, well, there's so many people of them in charge, but I've never known of a Jewish president. I mean, we've got Jewish senators, obviously, and things like that. But we're an Jewish Orthodox Christian nation. That's what we are, and there is no room for a lot of these other religions out there, especially when they want the destruction of Christians and Jews. Now, here's the immediate result: you've got a nation that was founded on Jesuits and Catholics and Baptists and Presbyterians and people like that of that nature. No Muslims involved in that foundation. And then when they come over here, and atheists and people like that hate the fact that Jews and Christians have so much power in this country that they mainly want to attack it. But I'm trying to tell you, look at the Quran and look at what any nation that's held up. Very few Muslim nations show themselves as being really prevalent and prosperous. And even if they are prosperous, they do have a limit on the freedom that is in that country. Look at any country that is founded on the Christian principles and also Judeo-Christian values, you're going to find a country that is probably prosperous. And there's really only one that is, and that's the United States of America. Before then, we had a lot of Catholic nations, and then a lot of these countries have left the Catholicism altogether. And I love my Catholic brothers, but it is an older religion, and it's not like what the Muslim countries are doing to them. And there's a lot of countries that are trying to get back to their Catholic roots, and good for them. But that's the whole thing. Why can't we respect Israel's their culture, for instance? Because here's the whole thing: there wouldn't be an Israel if there hadn't been Nazi Germany. Because these people have been kicked out in almost every country in the world, and they needed a place. And that was something that Churchill wanted to establish. And by 1947, they were recognized as a nation, United Nations. And we know, so they do have a right to exist. They have a right to defend themselves. And it's same thing. And we had agreements, we had treaties. In fact, Israel gave up some of their land that they conquered in a way to appease other countries back in the day. And you can look this up. I mean, this is nothing new. But Candace Owens, I have a feeling, and I haven't watched her because I feel like, oh my goodness, she's just like any of these other talent that's out there. Some Jewish person ticked them off, and they say, well, that's you Jews or money. And it's like, that's the most stereotype thing I've heard in my life. And so with this being said, I mean, a lot of this stuff is just that we're seeing on her tweets. It's very far reaching. And of course, I'm going by Tim Pool. I'd have to do my own research. Like I said, I can't compare positive with a negative. I'm not going to go out there and disown her own viewpoint because I don't know her own viewpoint. I mean, I've got my people that I listen to, my bubble that I stay in, and I don't know if I want to go outside my bubble and listen to this person that I don't know something may be mentally wrong with them, especially when we're dealing with a death and we're dealing with a family. Where is your remorse? Where's your respect for the people who have passed away? Candace, that's what I've got to say. I mean, shut the heck up and let God deal with it. If there's somebody that did wrong against Kirk, let God be the judge of that. And a lot of this things that they're coming into light, or to me, seems like, again, I would say Israeli syndrome, derangement, Israeli derangement syndrome. That's what it gets down to. And it makes you wonder, maybe Ben Shapiro was right about Candace Owens. Did he know the truth about Milo? I respect people who had defense, who a little on the defensive about Muslims and Israelis, or Zionists. But I mean, if you don't like Muslims and Zionists, I probably have respect for you to dislike them at the same level. My problem is the obsession with anything that a Zionist does, that it is always evil, that it really bothers me. And then people taking money from Israel is not okay, but however, taking money, like I said, from big corporations, Muslim countries are okay. And so that's something to keep in mind as we look into this. I hope that Tim Pool is okay. I hope everybody there at his place is okay. And I hope that we can reach an agreement and realize, I don't really think Candace Owens or any of those people were behind the shooting. I think this is something probably that has been from the past, from the leftists. They've always probably targeted Tim Pool, even though he's not a ultra conservative or someone who doesn't think irrationally. Most of his conclusions come to what he has studied and where he has been as a journalist for a long, long time, and now he has a nice following. So my prayers go out to Tim and the cast out there at Tim Pool Cast, and I'm sorry, Minnesota. But it looks like Columbus is next on the list, and there is a great video you need to check out. by who is this guy? P. Davis Jones on TikTok. He's gone over how these businesses look a lot like what the Somalia issue is going. If you haven't seen the Somalia video in Minnesota about the daycare centers, I'll try to post a link down below so you guys can look at it. And what do you guys think? Do you think this is we're going to stop this fraud that is going on? Because this is just crazy. And what has been found out, there is a video where people have called the businesses and they have been led to being gone to Tim Watts, who was the vice presidential candidate. Imagine he was like a few thousand votes away from being our next vice president. So, and same way with the Columbus issue is these daycare centers in Columbus are donating to a representative, Somali representative. So this is all political, guys. This is all political. This is get money and to keep voters so they can keep on going with their agenda, the liberal agenda. They don't care about America. They don't care about Americans, because if they did, they wouldn't be giving this money to foreigners, to people that are not not being, when I would say, trying to bring more jobs to Americans, but they're just making a way for themselves. And these Somalians are funneling this money to the politicians is what's going on. So in the long run, they don't care about the Somalians either. They just care about being reelected. And whereas the Columbus, there's no ties to Tim Watts or any national political candidate that I know about, except for the Somalian representative there in Ohio. But whereas the Minnesota goes to one of the elite people that are new faces in Washington, and also Tim Watts. I wonder what Jesse Ventura thinks about this. I mean, would he say something like, well, I don't think I would give those guys money like that, or would he be on the Somalian side? Who knows? But it is something to think about, guys, and I'm not going to sit here and make any excuses. Fraud is fraud. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, or whatever. Fraud is fraud. And one of the reasons I was hoping that I was going to be excited about Doge is I was hoping they going to expose more of this. And of course, I think Elon went too far and was upsetting too many friends in the Republican Rhino Party. And I think that's one of the reasons why Doge is not in existence right now, because both parties are committing fraud. Let's be honest about this. But I would, if there is any fraud going on, if the money's going in, I want it going into Americans and helping America. I don't want it to help foreigners out and or to establish one party, because that's what this money is coming to. It is just making, it's like the whole thing with the NPR and PBS and all these things. All these things are set up to promote one agenda. That's the reason why the internet has been such a help to conservatives, and the movement that we have is that, you know, we can fight back and we can talk back and do the right thing. And so let's keep this in mind and keep prayers for these guys too, because their lives are in danger. And one thing I want to say, a shout out to Officer Tatum, who has put some security out for this Shirley that is out there exposing the cockroaches with the when light exposes the cockroaches go everywhere. I would like to try to call some of these places in Columbus, because you're next. Columbus, you're next. The number 2 Somalian immigrant place is next there. Then there is Washington, number 3. I would like to look into that as well. And I want to thank you guys for subscribing, sharing, and liking. I'm going to be talking a little bit more, maybe talk a little bit about Candace Owens and things like that as I get back into this, because I'm going to slowly get into this, but I'm not comfortable yet with all the scheduling that's going on. It's been a while, so if I do come back, it'll be a comeback, and I want to do the right thing. And you guys have a wonderful day. I want you to, you know, thank God that you live in a country where you can express ideas like this, and that we have people out there exposing the darkness that is out there. You guys have a wonderful day.